Hi guys, Kichu64 here, and today we are going to be talking about El Camino, which is the epilogue to Breaking Bad, the TV series, which is one of my top TV series of all time. I think that's generally accepted by so many people. Breaking Bad is a masterpiece of television. And now we get an epilogue. We get an epilogue to Breaking Bad. So how does it fit in? Well, you got to watch this video to check that out. But I will have to warn you guys, this is spoiler heavy. I'm doing a spoiler video. Now, I normally do spoiler-free videos, but there's so much stuff I want to talk about in this, and I think there'll be enough spoiler-free videos out there that, and most of the people who are interested in seeing this are going to see it. This is definitely for Breaking Bad fans. So, again, this will have spoilers. So if you've not seen El Camino, you've not seen Breaking Bad, well, I don't know why you wouldn't have seen Breaking Bad, but if you've not seen those things, you need to go check them out because they're definitely worth your time. But today we're going to be talking about El Camino. I hope you guys are ready for the truth.
Oh, geek.
True. 64.
Geek. Truth. Geek.
True. 64. Oh, shit.
So, as I said to begin with, this will have spoilers. All right. First off, I want to say this is on Netflix and in select theaters. Now, I would have went and seen this in theaters because I wanted to see it so badly. I definitely would have went and seen it in theaters with other Breaking Bad fans if they were showing it in my state. Unfortunately, my state has no culture and decided not to show it. So I had to watch it on Netflix, which is fine. The beer's cheaper than it is in theaters. So yeah, I guess there's that. But because I watched it on Netflix, Netflix actually had a recap. There was a recap section, probably a couple minutes, and it recaps like Jesse's story from the beginning to where it ended in the Breaking Bad TV series, leading into this movie, El Camino. And that was really appreciated. Now, myself, I went ahead and rewatched the final season of Breaking Bad again this past week in preparation of El Camino. Now, I've seen Breaking Bad several times all the way through because, as I said, it's a great show and I love it. It's in my top 10 easily best shows of all time, which I may do a list of. But sticking with El Camino, I really appreciate the fact that Netflix gave a recap because not everybody is as big a Breaking Bad fan as me. I know there's bigger Breaking Bad fans than me. But this is a movie for Breaking Bad fans. This is a movie for the fans of Breaking Bad. Now, this I don't necessarily think would be a great film to watch on its own if you've never seen Breaking Bad. It can stand alone, but I can't imagine seeing it without having context of Breaking Bad. I just can't. So this is definitely something you should only watch if you've seen the TV series before. And once again, this is directed by Vince Gilligan, who is the creator of Breaking Bad. El Camino is written and directed by him. So this feels like Breaking Bad. This movie feels like it belongs in the universe. It feels like a natural continuation of Breaking Bad. And you know what? It's shot so well. The cinematography is great. The script has stuff for Breaking Bad fans. It moves very well. I was so into it. Now, it's not a fast-paced movie by any stretch of imagination, but I was just so invested in what was happening because I was so happy to be back in this world of Breaking Bad. Now, one thing I will say is that Netflix actually dropped a trailer for Breaking Bad. And when the trailer dropped for Breaking Bad a few months ago, I was like, what? That was random. They just dropped it. And in the trailer, you had the police interrogating one of Jesse's friends. And that scene is not in this movie at all. So they shot that specifically for the trailer. And it either has to take place after the movie or during the movie. It's hard to really tell because of the time stuff, which I'll get into here in a minute. But I thought that's really cool that they shot that specifically for the trailer. So if you watch the movie, go back and watch the trailer. You get a whole new scene. Now, as I said, again, final warning, this has spoilers. So at the end of Breaking Bad, when Jesse escaped and took off in the El Camino, I always just thought, hey, he got away from the cops and he ended up in Alaska. that's just what I thought happened. Now, it wasn't as conclusive as a lot of the other characters in the show. His character was very much open up to anything could have happened to him. He could have been caught by the police. Anything could have happened to him. So this is a movie specifically to explain what happened to him after Breaking Bad and get a real end cap and conclusion to his character. And as we could guess, Jesse is suffering from some PTSD from his captivity. Now, me, whenever I rewatch Breaking Bad, it's hard to watch the scenes where Jesse's being held captive in those last few episodes. That is just, it's painful to watch. I usually fast forward through it. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I've seen it before, but it's just, I just always found it uncomfortable because throughout the show, when the show first starts, you really hate Jesse as a character. And as the show progresses, you just grow to like him more and more. And somehow he ends up being the most moral person in the show, which is crazy. So the idea of him actually dealing with some PTSD in this movie is a natural thing. It fits in well. Now, I think they give up on it a little bit too early. I think what they do show in the movie is good. It's just, there's a certain point in the movie where that kind of gets thrown away so they can move forward with the plot. There are obviously multiple characters that return in this movie. I was blown away. You had so many like side characters that weren't all that important that I recognized, like the guy who helped him with the magnet heist. You've got Jesse Plemons back. So Jesse Plemons, I know from Friday Night Lights, which is one of my favorite shows also. But after seeing him Breaking Bad, I know it's hard to see his characters for Friday Night Lights the same way. My brother actually calls him Discount Mount Damon, which, yeah, I guess I can see that. And he's definitely aged in comparison to where he was when they shot the ending of Breaking Bad. Like, he's put on some weight and he looks older. What can you do? I'd still rather have him playing the character he played and looking older than cast somebody else, because we would never buy that. So there are some solid cameos in this. And honestly, Discount Matt Damon, Jesse Plemons, is not a cameo. He's an important piece, which this movie, I was surprised by how many flashbacks it had. It had a lot of flashbacks, and it kind of fills in some gaps and kind of expands on some stuff that was in Breaking Bad. It kind of fills in some gaps. It's like Breaking Bad, 1.5, like that Lion King 1.5 movie. It's in between. It's an in-between-quel. And most of the flashbacks work really well. Like I said, there's a whole side plot where he gets Discount Matt Damon takes Jesse out and basically has to hide a body. and you just remember how weird Jesse Plemons' character was in Breaking Bad, because he's just as weird and off-putting in this. And it's very unsettling, but it actually ties directly into what's currently happening. And that's the way flashbacks should work. If you show a flashback, it should either show something that ties into the plot, the story that's happening, or something that ties into whatever character's state of mind. Otherwise, it's just kind of pointless. I think the majority of the flashbacks work. Now, there is one at the end with Walter White that I did feel kind of forced. It was obviously awesome to see Walter White back in action, see Heisenberg back in action. But what we get in that flashback is back to when they first started cooking in the RV. Again, it's a cool flashback, and it shows how much of a father figure Walter White was to Jesse, but it feels very disconnected to what's happening in the story, unlike what's happening with Jesse Plemons' character. Now, there's another flashback also where Jesse flashes back to his girlfriend. I'm blanking on her name. She's the chick who plays Jessica Jones. That also didn't feel very relevant and kind of out of place. So some of the flashbacks, the ones that tie into the story, are great. The other ones feel kind of fan servicey, so I kind of wish that they had focused more in on the main story instead of going to those strange flashbacks. I wish that the flashback with Walter White had more to do with the core story than what it did in the movie. Now, for Breaking Bad fans, Lydia is mentioned in the news broadcast. Now, who is Lydia? Lydia is the woman who, in the final season, Walter White gave her the ricin. And you don't see what happens to her. You assume she's probably going to die. On the radio, they mentioned that she's in critical condition and is probably going to die. So she's not dead yet. I don't think that they mentioned it in the movie if she was actually dead. I may be wrong on that, but I mean, we could pretty much guess that she's probably dead, which is fine because Lydia sucked. Now, one of the scenes I thought was very powerful was the scene where Jesse gets the gun. Now, this isn't a flashback scene. It's a scene where Jesse gets the gun when they're out in the desert with Jesse Plemons' character, and he gets the gun and he doesn't shoot his captor. And you could read that in a bunch of different ways. Now, to me, based on what I understand of Jesse from the Breaking Bad TV show, and what happened was he is afraid that they're going to kill Brock, the kid. They already killed his girlfriend, and who is the mom of Brock. And so he knows that they have no qualms about killing people. They don't care. So the only reason he gave back the gun was just to protect the kid, because he had nothing else to lose. So Jesse sticks to the character he's been through the whole show, which is, you know, life is important. He values life, unlike almost every other character on the show. So I'm glad that they kept with that character, and it was very powerful that he was basically willing to give that up. Now, you could read that in another way, and that he was maybe afraid to, or, you know, whatever else. I don't read it that way. I definitely read it as he was trying to save the kid. As I said, because this is directed by Vince Gilligan, this is just great. The cinematography in this, the way it's shot, the way it's directed, as all the great things I loved about Breaking Bad. It was shot in a just completely unconventional way. There's some crazy shots that make some mundane things like interesting. And he continues that in this movie. For instance, there's one shot where Jesse is tearing apart an apartment, and you get this like top-down view of a bunch of different versions of him tearing apart this apartment. And I was like, whoa, that is awesome. That was just a cool shot. And there's a bunch of shots like that where it just, the way that he directs, I just appreciate. It's on another level for television directors, that's for sure. As I said in the beginning about the whole Badger being interrogated by the police thing, I really like this, that's who Jesse goes to, is Skinny Pete and Badger, who are his best friends. And they help him. They don't turn him in. They don't treat him like crap. You know, they are his friends. And I really like that they go to them. And I was thinking about the part where he comes up short $1,800, $1,800 in order to pay the guy to get across the border. And he won't do it because of $1,800. He can't. I was like, why didn't he just go to them? They got money. Well, he can't contact them. Skinny Pete's probably being, investigated by police, as well as Badger, which leads into the trailer, which I was like, oh, the trailer just literally answered that question. Awesome. I've never seen that happen, where a trailer is basically a deleted scene that answers a question that you might have while watching the movie. I can't think of another time where that happened. And throughout this movie, Jesse he turns into a badass. He basically shows that he's been hardened by the stuff that's happened. And he's not an idiot anymore. You know, yeah, he still suffers from a lot of his decisions. He suffers from PTSD. He has scars and all kinds of stuff. But he is definitely not the kid he was at the beginning of the show. Nor is he the kid that he was in the final season. Because of his captivity, he's basically been hardened and he does some pretty, he's just on the edge. He just does some pretty badass stuff in the movie. And that was really awesome to see, honestly. Now, I will say that the ending was very abrupt for me. Very abrupt. I think that the actual ending could have used a little bit of work. Mainly because, as I said before, Breaking Bad has one of the best endings for a television show of all time. Of all time. It is arguably the best television ending of all time. The whole show built up to it. It paid off. And it felt natural. It wasn't forced. It made sense. The characters had conclusion. Everything. Game of Thrones, you should have taken some notes from Breaking Bad. What's wrong with you? But as for Breaking Bad, amazing. But as for El Camino, amazing. This feels like a natural progression. This movie feels like a natural epilogue to that story. It gives like a conclusive story that ends Jesse's arc. Now, I don't necessarily think it was a necessary movie, maybe, because as I said, I always just guessed he did escape. And the fact that it was left open, you know, anybody could guess. But if there was any character and any reason to actually do a sequel to Breaking Bad, doing a story about Jesse makes natural sense. So my only real qualms about this, the pacing could use a little bit of improvement, but I was invested in everything that was happening. I was delved in the world, and the pacing didn't bother me at all. I definitely understand why some people probably will think it's a slow pace. I think it's pretty consistent, and I enjoyed it. My only qualms are that some of the flashbacks I felt a little bit forced, just a little bit forced. Not like in your face, but I wish that the flashbacks were like Walter White tied more into the main story, other than just him giving like some fatherly advice and he should go to college and whatnot. Because in the whole movie, he doesn't mention Walter White once. He never mentions his name that I recall. Again, I've only seen it once, so I may be wrong about this. I don't think he mentions his name, at least in the current day, when he's on the run. And so I don't really understand the point of that scene. So other than that, they're pretty minor qualms. I think this movie is great as a Breaking Bad fan. I can't really give it a score. Because again, it depends on if you like Breaking Bad. It depends on if you've seen Breaking Bad. This is not a standalone movie that I recommend watching on its own. I don't. Can it stand on its own? Maybe, probably. But you won't be as invested in what's happening. You won't understand some of the things that are happening. There's a lot of references back to the show. So if you haven't seen the show, the movie is probably not going to work for you. But if you've seen the show, this is a great epilogue, as I said before. A great epilogue. Feels like a natural conclusion. If you own the box set of this, whenever this releases on 4K, go buy it. It is a necessary piece to complete your collection of Breaking Bad. And if you have not seen Better Call Saul, while not as good as Breaking Bad or El Camino necessarily, it's also worth saying. So anyway, because it takes place in the same universe as Breaking Bad, it's definitely worth watching. So what did you guys think? Have you seen El Camino or Breaking Bad? I don't know if it's as niche a show as it used to be. I feel like a lot of people have checked it out at this point. It is on Netflix. I definitely recommend it. When I first watched it, the first season I felt was a little slow. I actually took a month break before going back to it. But once I did, second season onward, I just binged that because that was... man. And then I had to wait for the final season to come out as it aired and check that out. But once it did, man, Breaking Bad is so good. So again, what did you guys think about it? What did you think about Breaking Bad? What did you think about El Camino? Have you guys checked out Better Call Saul? Let me know. And also, if you guys are interested in seeing a top 10 of my top 10 favorite TV show list, believe me, it'll be hard to narrow it down to 10, but I think I could do it. I think I can do it and make a video out of it and make it entertaining. So I want to thank you guys for sticking around on this video. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it, do all the YouTube stuff, or don't. I'm not a beggar. I'm Geechu64, and I'll always tell you the truth.